Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. It's still Screamtober. Hi, I'm Carshénah with Versefilmsproductions, and you don't want to miss, we're doing a video a day, every day up until Halloween. This week is horror video games and horror comics. Let's get started. Let's get today's horror video game started with The Evil Within and The Evil Within 2. The Evil Within, also known as Psychobreaku or Psycho Break in Japan, and The Evil Within 2 are both survival horror video games developed by Tango Gameworks and published by Bethesda Softworks. The game was directed by Shinji Mikami, the creator of Resident Evil. The Evil Within was released for PC, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One on October 21st, 2014 in North America, and on October 24th in the EU. The second was released on October 13 in 2017. Let's move on to the plot and gameplay of The Evil Within. Detective Sebastian Castellanos and his partners Joseph Oda and Julie Kidman arrive at a crime scene located at the Beacon Memorial Hospital. Having arrived, they find a massacre has taken place inside the hospital, with the place now seemingly deserted. After finding a sole survivor, Sebastian witnesses through the hospital's CCTV fellow KCPD officers running from and firing upon an unseen force. They are then brutally killed by a disfigured supernatural hooded man who then appears behind Sebastian and attacks him, knocking him unconscious. Sebastian then awakes in the basement of the hospital and is forced to flee from a monstrous man wielding a chainsaw. The game primarily focuses on three key gameplay elements. 1. Survival horror. The player must navigate through the hostile game world with limited resources. This requires the player to use their wits to survive and correctly manage their few resources as they encounter various terrors and dangers throughout the game. 2. Traps and puzzles. The player not only needs to struggle to survive, but also faces dangerous traps and mechanisms. Being careless with traps can cause death. However, the player can also utilize the traps to their own advantage. And 3. Alternating environments. Throughout the game, the environments may change without warning in real time based on the player's actions, adding more variables to the game. Those who pre-ordered the game or bought specific copies were provided with a pack called the Fighting Chance Pack, which gives the players some exclusive items such as the double-barrel shotgun, as well as useful extra items found in the base game. Here's a side note about the game. Owing to its graphic nature, the Japanese release of The Evil Within, or Psycho Break, was heavily edited to censor out the various situations or effects deemed overly gruesome to meet 0D requirements, which is a rating of 17+, as opposed to adults only. Examples of such censorship are the removal of dismemberment and decapitation effects, such that the haunted no longer blow apart when struck by explosives or headshots, and various corpses are covered up or replaced with generic viscera. However, Japanese players who are 18 and up and have reserved a copy of Psycho Break ahead of time were given a redeemable code that restores the game's original graphic content, which was tentatively named Gore Mode. Moving on to The Evil Within Part 2. 3 years after the events at Beacon Mental Hospital, Sebastian Castellanos has left the Crimson City Police Department and continued to be haunted by his experiences at Beacon, the disappearance of his wife Myra and the death of his daughter Lily in a house fire. Sebastian is then approached by former partner and Mobius agent Julie Kidman, who reveals to him that Lily is still alive since Mobius faked her death. However, Mobius now needs Sebastian's help in saving her. Sebastian is brought to a secret Mobius facility where he meets the administrator, who further explains that Lily is being used as the core for a new STEM system to stimulate an idyllic town called Union. However, some time ago, Mobius lost contact with Lily and their agents inside Union, and they no longer have any control over the STEM. Sebastian reluctantly agrees to help Mobius so that he has a chance to save Lily and enter the STEM. Now, the gameplay in The Evil Within is much more streamlined from the clumsy and uncomfortable mechanics of the first game. For starters, movement is greatly smoothed out, allowing Sebastian to better maneuver his surroundings either during combat or when sneaking with greater finesse. The cover mechanics from the Kidman DLCs from the first game have been implemented into this game as well, which allows Sebastian to brace against covers and even peek out at enemies and rounding corners to get away from them with ease. Gunplay is also improved as well, with a nearly tripled amount of unique fire types compared to the first game. An additional feature of The Evil Within 2 is the ability to play the game in a complete first-person perspective. Originally added to the game engine as a one-time gimmick in Chapter 4, the mode was accessible via a console command and proved popular among players. As a result of this, Tango Gameworks have officially included the option to the game via an update with additional tweaks to weapon animations and stealth kill prompts to address the noted flaws encountered prior to the patch. First-person mode can be toggled on and off in the options menu. Perspective change will take place midway through the first chapter, and the game will occasionally switch to third-person during scripted segments, but otherwise the first-person experience will be near seamless. Similar to the first installment of the series, The Evil Within 2 offers an additional content to players who pre-purchased the game prior to its official release, known as the Last Chance Pack. This DLC confers additional items to players starting a new game to give them a leg up in surviving the many horrors of Union. The contents of the Last Chance Pack are granted at the start of Chapter 3 when starting a new game. Starting the game again on New Game does not give additional copies of the items. The Evil Within 2 received a much more favorable opinion from critics than its predecessor, with praises aimed at its much more balanced ratio between gameplay and narrative. The departure from the first installment's chapter-based storytelling was noted to have been a major improvement, and the game's open-world design, while not received as well, was lauded for the many interesting narrative opportunities it creates. There are rumors of an Evil Within 3 for future release, and we can't wait to play it. I hope that you've been enjoying Screamtober right here on the channel. I'm Carshénah with versefilmsproductions, so hit that notification bell as we do a video a day, every day, up until Halloween. We hope to see you in the next one. Take care and have a great day.